Hey guys, I'm going to go over a little case study this morning on basically how what you need to be looking for when you're buying land for development for industrial or anything else commercial related. I've been asked to go over this and how I do it. So I'm going to do it really quick and go over this. And if you have any questions, by all means, you can get a hold of me through my emails or phone calls or whatever. So there's three factors that I look at when I'm buying commercial land to develop. And actually, number one is like everybody says, in every rule of number one in every form of real estate, it's going to be location. The location it's the number one factor when buying land. If you're not in a good location, you're going to fail. So for what I focus on with warehouses, industrial flex space, I'm always looking for main thoroughfares at quick access to highways or interstates or transportation hubs like airports and railways. And I'm usually looking in an area where there's other industrial area buildings or developments to bring tenants in. Industrial spaces where tenants are normally small business owners. They need quick access to main roads to get across the city. Like electricians, HVAC, landscaping, all those kind of guys that uses the type of warehouses and flex space that I'm building. They work the entire metro normally. Those type of tenants. So they need to be able to get to across town quickly without going through a lot of neighborhoods to be able to get access to a quick thoroughfare through town. So I like industrial sections of the city. Mine right now that I focus on or in close to the Oklahoma City Airport. I like to be in that. It's called the Airport Industrial Zone. I like those areas just simply because of it's a hub for a lot of businesses. And so the reason that I look at them is, this rule kind of applies to all types of land too. So when I'm talking about just what I'm looking at, you've got to look at it as what are you doing? Are you buying? Are you going to build retail? Are you going to build self-storage, multifamily, office, or medical? Every one of them, they have their own little demographic that pertains to that type of asset. So you got to kind of figure out what you're wanting to do. Where industrial flex space, my owners or my tenants, they'll drive up to 15 miles to run a business out of these things. Whereas if you're going to go to build a self-storage, your tenants are coming within 3 miles. So you've got to kind of look at the demographic of what you're wanting to build. So location is big. So I've spoken enough about that. Then the second factor is price per square foot. If it's just too stinking high, it's not going to work. So you've got to look at what price per square foot that you can pay depending on what you're going to build on that tract of land. Now, obviously, you can pay more per square foot if you're going to build a retail space or medical offices or a motel or a restaurant. You pay more per square foot than you can if you're going to build a warehouse or industrial flex space or self-storage. That's simply because those type of assets rent more per square foot than the industrial side does. So if you're going to go after retail, you're going to build a retail strip mall, you may be able to pay up to $20 a square foot for land because of what it's going to generate on rental income. That's a whole class in itself, but I'm going to speak specifically for industrial and self-storage because that's what I've been asked to talk about today. Once you find a location, you need to see what the land is selling for. You can get a good broker, a commercial broker, or somebody that can help you if you're not too savvy on what the land is going for or locations of land and stuff. If you're a rookie, I strongly suggest you find you a commercial broker that is specializes in whatever it is that you're wanting to build. If you're wanting to build retail, you need to find you a retail broker. Unlike house realtors, the commercial realtors, they normally specialize in one type of asset, where you've got industrial guys that basically they specialize in any kind of metal building, self-storage, industrial buildings, warehouse space. That's their niche, and they know that space very well. You got retail guys, and on retail, you've got brokers that represent tenants, and you got brokers that represent the landlords. So you have two different kinds of brokers there. So you need to really find a broker that's going to focus on what you want to build or do. So when you start finding the price per square foot, for you to be able to find out what land's worth or what makes sense on land, you need to get comps and comparables, and brokers can provide that to you. If the land's selling in my world, I usually look for $4 to $5 a square foot is what I can pay to build and develop the industrial space that I'm doing. Whereas, if you're coming in and wanting to do retail, you're gonna pay more for the land. Depending on what you're going to pay for the land, it's either going to make or break your construction budget. You really got to back into your budget to figure out what's the maximum amount of money you can spend per square foot on land, and land sells per square foot, not per acre in the commercial world. I don't know why. Who knows? So, I mean, I've never really cared about trying to figure out why that does, but that's just how it's done. I'm a farm boy. When I had to start figuring out how to do things per square foot than acre, it was a little difficult, but you adapt. Number 3, topography. Topography is basically what how level the land is, and dirt work on a tract of land can make or break a deal. The cost of dirt work is extensive. You see all these big machines out there moving all this dirt. That's usually a very expensive part of your construction or your development or whatever you're doing. So the flatter the land, the cheaper the construction cost. You want to make sure that you find the flattest land that you can. Now, here's a little thing a lot of people don't realize, that you pull up on a tract of land and it looks like it's about 400 feet long, and it doesn't appear to fall much until you get somebody out there with a laser and they shoot it. A 300 foot, the longer the land is, the more the fall can be without you realizing how much the fall of that land is. And when I'm saying fall, it could be 5 foot higher on one end than it is where you're standing on the other end. Well, you've got to get that land flat. Depending on the type of property you're going to put on it, you need to get it flat, pretty flat. So the buildings, you can't build buildings in an angle. Some developers, if you're going to put self-storage on it or whatever, they'll stair step the buildings, to limit the cost of the dirt work. They'll bench several different levels. So you got to really look at what your dirt cost is going to be. So topography's number 3 to me. I'll look at that. Now, when I pull up on a track and it just looks like it's 20 foot tall, then there's no point in looking at it. I'm not going to do extensive dirt work on a tract of land. Number 4 for me, zoning. For me personally, I don't like to mess with trying to get things rezoned. It's a nightmare. It takes forever to do unless it just really, really, really makes sense and you're getting the dirt for almost nothing. You've got to go through engineering surveys and city council meetings and planning division meetings, and it's just a nightmare. I strongly suggest you start looking for tracts of land that is zoned to whatever you want to do. I personally, if it's a zoned industrial, I'll look at it. If it's a zoned multifamily and I'm wanting to put industrial in it, I will not even waste my time of trying to rezone the land. It's just not worth the trouble. I get calls all the time. Hey, I found a tract of land. It's zoned commercial. I want to move it into industrial. And I'm going to say your battle is so far uphill that you don't want to fight it. It's just a lot of work. So I strongly suggest you trying to stay in. Now, if it's zoned, it's in a city and it's zoned agriculture, that's a different ballgame because it's never been zoned anything else. But once a tract of land is zoned to a specific commercial, whether it be retail or office, industrial, multifamily, once it's been zoned by the city, it's kind of hard to get it moved. There is little things called a PUD that get you around a lot of the zoning, but then again, it's still a lot of work. If it's already zoned properly, you don't have to worry too much about getting anything done. Submit a site plan, go to work. And then number 5 is utilities. This is very important, guys. Make sure the utilities are close to where you're wanting to build, what you're wanting to develop. If not, the utilities can be daunting to get to you and very expensive. Usually your electricity and your gas suppliers will get you power and power and gas at their cost if it's, you know, not too far away or makes sense to them. They'll bring it at their cost. Now, when you start getting into city water and city sewer, whole different world. You're going to put that in at your cost. It's going to be your expense, your trouble, and then you're going to give it back to the city to maintain it. Plus, you're going to do it to city specs and how they want it done. So you've got engineering, you've got surveying, you've got utility companies, you've got people that's going to have to that knows what they're doing, putting this stuff in, and it's got to be inspected by the city. When you usually start bringing in water and stuff that long ways, you've got to put in the fire plugs, you got to put in everything that the city requires to upgrade that system, so the city, when they take it back, they can tap into it and put other tenants and stuff on it at your expense. So make sure your utilities are very close to wherever you're going to develop. It's unless you're going to be building a development with 600 homes on it or 30-acre multi-tenant commercial space like you see popping up around Dallas and a lot of other places, it doesn't make sense to bring a lot of utilities for the cost of utilities. It's just stay small, stay productive, and stay profitable. I hope this is going to help you guys. We'll start doing, I'll continue doing these case studies. I'll do one on construction costs of industrial buildings coming soon on how I budget, how I put things together, and what the costs are, profit margins and stuff like that. So you guys have a great day, and I hope this was helpful.